What's up everyone, Michael aka Spirit Shard here with this week's vlog. This week I want to talk about some VR stuff, but before we start that, game in the background is Torchlight 2. I actually picked this one back up after playing some Dragon Path, which I did a review of, and it didn't meet my standards, so I really wanted to go back and play a good top-down action RPG game, and this was one of my favorite games when it came out, so I was like, hell yeah, I'll do that one. But anyways, I want to talk about real quick before we go into the topic about this last week. I ended up getting down with a really bad cold, and it hasn't shown up in the recording. I did a recording with the Classic Cast the other night, and I sounded okay, but I was pretty mellow, and I'm probably going to be like that through this video as well. But basically, this last week I've been pretty much dead down, physically incapable of doing anything, because I've had one of the worst colds I've ever had, so yeah, not great. But anyways, I'm back. But yeah, I want to talk about VR because everyone's been doing that, and I'm going to jump on that bandwagon because the Oculus Rift got its price point, and some people are upset and some people are, I guess, not upset. I don't really think anybody's happy about it because obviously it's more expensive than what they're saying. They're like $600 instead of the $350 that they were kind of bragging about a long while ago. But a lot of people have been asking everyone, hey, what's your opinion on, you know, VR in general? And while my kind of main group that I play with really isn't into VR, mostly because none of us can really afford it, and I'm along that lines. I'm not going to be picking one up because, quite frankly, that's too expensive. But my opinion of VR is kind of, it's gonna be like 3D televisions, in my opinion. Like, it's probably gonna be better off, as in, it's probably not going to completely crash and be almost non-existent in the main market, because obviously VR has a lot of potential, especially outside of gaming, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But inside gaming, it's basically going to become this really niche product, in my opinion. And right now, people are complaining about the Oculus being really expensive, as in $600, which, yes, I guess it's kind of expensive, but the thing that really matters is, like, you actually have to have a pretty powerful PC to run that thing as well. Like, that's actually where the cost is going to come in. Like, $600, some people will be like, you know what, I can pay $600, but you need, like, a really powerful rig. And so right now, it's really only going to be for, like, very much enthusiasts, or they need it for like their work or something. Like, let's say they're a game reviewer and they're doing VR games, and it's like, you know, business expense sort of things going on. But obviously I'm not going to be picking one up because, yeah, not important to my viewership about VR and stuff like that, and I cannot afford that. That is a lot of money to put on the business expense, so a lot of people are paying out of their pocket and stuff like that, which is quite expensive. But I also don't have the PC to run it, so I'd need, like, I think the estimated cost of me to actually get into VR is like $1,400. So right now, cost of it is extremely expensive, and I don't think the cost is really going to go down until PCs are really cheap to build for it, which isn't going to happen in about 3 or 4 years, which is quite a long time when you think about it. Now, obviously, the tech is going to get better and better, but what I was talking about with it going the way of the kind of 3D TVs is 3D TVs and 3D monitors and all that, not really TVs and just by itself, but they were pushed really hard for a while. And the reason for that is, like, everyone's like, 3D is the way of the future and stuff like that, and maybe it's not so much now, as in VR is not pushed nearly as much, mostly because you can't put VR into an affordable consumer market. Like with 3D TVs and stuff like that, they had 720 3D TVs, which were quite terrible, but they were actually affordable for the general consumer. You can't do that with VR because VR has like a limited standard, so they're not able to push it as much. But I have a feeling that once it's come out, and it's come out for quite a while, what's going to happen is there's only going to be a few unique experiences that you can only get on VR, and that's what people are going to buy it for. And then everything else is kind of going to be like, okay, I could use VR, but I already have a TV. And one of the biggest things for me especially is that the reason I didn't want to get into 3D TVs is because, quite frankly, it didn't have any applicable applications for stuff like production, because I built my machine originally for video editing, because I am a graphic designer who works in video and stuff like that. So I needed a rendering machine, and having a 3D thing just had absolutely no applicable source whatsoever to any of the work that I did. I mean, I guess if I did 3D modeling and stuff like that, it's like, oh cool, I could use 3D, but once again, that's not something that I'm going to need. Now with VR, the one thing I do see with VR is that there is that kind of capability, as in, you could use that as maybe like a surround experience, or doing 3D modeling with VR would actually be super freaking cool. Obviously, it would take a lot of work to get everything kind of flowing properly. Also, this boss is annoying. I hate this guy. But yeah, so it would take a while to get used to, and I'm sure that there would need to be special applications for it, and obviously programs need to build support for it. Like, I don't think Blender, which is a 3D modeling program I'm using right now, I should be using Maya, but that's expensive too. They don't have support for it, but in the future I could see that being a thing, but right now it's really for early adopters. So all those people that are really worried about the price and stuff like that, I want to tell you guys not to buy into it quite yet unless you need it for like your job. Like, let's say you're a game reviewer, or like you work with VR, or you're a game dev or something like that, and you want to do a VR game, and everyone's like, yeah, so you need at least one of them for your company. But at the same time, that's going to be like a business expense. Also, another thing to note is this is the first versions that are coming out. And the first versions, as anybody who's been in the tech space for any amount of time knows, that the first ones are always the worst ones. Like, we can look back at the iPad. I hate referencing Apple, but it's a great example. The first iPad was absolutely terrible. And then the other iPads, while they're still fairly expensive for what they are, they got a lot better and actually worth buying for people. And the early adopters always kind of get screwed over. You could also look at like the DS that had like 10 different versions that were a million times better after the first one. And I had the old brick, ended up giving it to my sister because she didn't need all the extra stuff, so she has that now. But yeah, early adopters always kind of get screwed over, and early adoption is always more expensive. If you want to buy into like 4K TVs last year, you know, it was pretty expensive, or the year before that, I guess, is when it actually first appeared. It's been pretty expensive, and now they're kind of affordable, and that's what's going to happen to VR. So my suggestion with VR is that everyone should kind of wait on it. But the big issue with that, and one of the reasons why a lot of like review companies and stuff like that are really kind of worried about the Oculus price point. Oh my god, there's a self-heal spell there. I want that. But one of the reasons they're worried about that is because of adoption. The problem with a lot of first adoption stuff, and we saw this with programs and software and hardware like the Kinect, to where the hardware itself is actually really cool and has a lot of applications. And it's used in a lot of stuff now, but it kind of failed in the gaming space because no one was actually building anything for it. Nobody was making like Kinect games that were worth people buying. And since there were no programs for people to buy, there was no reason to actually buy one in the first place, which meant developers kind of went into an endless loop of, oh, nobody's buying it because there's no software, which means since there's no software, nobody's buying it. And it becomes a vicious loop. And we see this with tech all the time. And that's kind of what I fear that the VR stuff is going to be. Now, there are other types of VR type stuff going on as well. Like, I'm actually more excited for Microsoft's, what do they call it? HoloLens. There we go. I'm actually excited for that because that's not actual VR. That's like holograms and stuff like that, that type of thing. Keep forgetting what they call it. Sorry, I'm a little bit brain dead this week because of that cold. So yeah, I'm still dealing with some of that fatigue, which is kind of scrambling my mind right now. But I'm really excited for that because it has applications on like table games and stuff like that. So like, imagine being able to play like a nice, I don't know, dungeon RPG, like a tabletop game, but being able to have like hit counters and stuff like that floating above people's heads and stuff like that. Like, I think that would be super cool. Now, obviously that's not for video games, and the demo that they showed off when they announced the HoloLens was for freaking Minecraft, which I wasn't really excited for. I'm like, cool, Minecraft stuff. We all need some of that. But there's a lot of other cool applications, and there's a lot of like production implications with that as well. Like being able to look at my desktop and have like a bunch of notes and be able to like have holographic notes and stuff like that. And you can argue you can do the same thing with VR, but at the same time with the HoloLens, I don't have to have a giant thing on the front of my face. So I'm actually really excited for that. But that's also really, really far away. So we won't be seeing that for even longer than VR probably. Now, the main thing on everyone's mind, and everyone is excited that VR is finally coming. And I will admit, I am excited that it's finally reaching the consumer market. I mean, VR has been a thing for a long time. There's been ways to do VR, and 3D TVs in its own sense is the same sort of tech. It's not like the Oculus or anything like that to where you need like special VR support and stuff like that. It just renders an image for each eye. But that is the concept that is VR, and we saw that with like the Virtual Boy way back when, which nobody should use that ever. But yeah, if you did, I feel sorry for the headache you've had afterwards, but that is basically the same concept that we've been using since the time, because we have stereoscopic stereoscopic. Is that how you say? I don't really care. Yeah, basically we have two eyes and we see two images, and that's how we get our depth perception. And that same concept has been used to create all this type of stuff. And I think the thing is, though, like now, people are saying, oh, it's finally coming to the consumer market, which means this is the year of VR and stuff like that. And it's like, no, not necessarily. I think that it's going to take another year or two to actually come in. And I did cover this when I was doing my video, my first vlog video or whatever, a little while ago. I was talking about what to expect in 2016, and I talked about it a little bit in that video, to where I don't think this is the year of VR quite yet. It's not going to be affordable for everyone. The PC parts to actually run that thing are extremely expensive right now. So you need, like I was saying, for my PC, I'm running a GTX 660 and a 5200 FX CPU, which is an AMD 6-core, technically 3-core, but whatever. And it's a production machine, obviously, so it's not going to run it quite as well, but you're going to need really, really powerful. It's going to cost me like $1,400 to actually get into that when I finally do, on the current prices. Now, prices could drop. That is definitely a thing that's going to happen, actually. I'm not going to say it could happen. I'm going to say it will happen. But it could take well over a year. Like, you need at least, I think it was a 970 right now, like a GTX 970 or AMD equivalent. If AMD has an equivalent right now. I don't know what AMD tech right now, unfortunately. I haven't been keeping up with their stuff. But yeah, so that's a pretty expensive graphics card. Like, that's a $500 graphics card. So there's most of the cost right there. And that's not going to drop very fast until either AMD actually comes out with something that's absolutely amazing, which I hope they do. I'd love to see some competition in that space. Or until NVIDIA decides, hey, we can release our new set now, and then they do that. So yeah, and that might be another while. Like, we might have to wait over a year for that to happen. Seeing their last few releases, that's probably what's going to happen. So yeah, not the year of VR, but it's definitely getting there, and I'm excited for it. So that was my opinions on VR. I think it's really cool tech, as in using VR looks crazy. I got a chance to use it once. I was at the local mall, and they actually had a setup over at GameStop, which was super cool. It got broken within a week, apparently. Somebody was telling me that it doesn't work anymore, so some kid broke it somewhere, and they're probably mad about that. But yeah, they actually had, I don't remember which one it was. It was one of the dev kit versions, I'm sure. It wasn't the production version or the consumer version, because the consumer version's not even out yet. It's on pre-orders right now, which I'm going to recommend not to pre-order it unless you really, 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 really want one, like I said earlier. But yeah, basically, it's a really cool experience, and I really wish I got more than the 5 minutes that I had with it, because I put it on and was like, I don't think I can do this right now. But yeah, it's got potential. Anyway, so yeah, that's my opinions on that. A little bit of the vlog stuff, what to expect on my channel. I wanted to have the design view episode that I keep mentioning in other videos done this week, but because of that cold, I kind of didn't end up getting that done, unfortunately, and I apologize for that for people that are waiting for that. I'm really excited for it, though, because I'm doing some animation stuff. One kind of like some insight to that is I'm actually going into Photoshop and drawing things live and then using that as my animation, and so everything kind of looks like it's hand-drawn in the video during the entire thing, and I'm quite excited about it. Other things is I am trying to revive my other series called Meta Break, which I started a long, long time ago. Basically, it's where I play games like League of Legends and stuff like that and then try really random builds. I have like a new kind of approach to it that I'm going to be trying out. So that should be coming out this week. I'm planning to record it either tomorrow or I can't do it Wednesday. So I might record it Thursday. So yeah, I might record it Thursday, which means it would come out either Friday or Saturday, one of those 2 days. And then also, for the review stuff, I'm not in a position to where I can get a lot of review keys right now. And I've been trying really, really hard, and I've just been getting denied constantly. Because people are like, oh, you only have this many subscribers? Oh, that's not even 100. Why would we give you a free game? And stuff like that. And, you know, they always look at it as, you know, oh, you're just looking for free games. Because, quite honestly, a lot of small YouTubers do that, unfortunately. There's people with, like, 10 subscribers, and they're like, hey, can you give me this key? Because I'll totally cover it and give you, like, viewers and stuff like that. But, yeah, and I just want keys because it gives you guys content to view. And it looks good on the channel. And I just need more practice with new games and stuff like that. Like, I haven't even played any of the games that I've done a review of outside of Final Fantasy, which I bought myself, and the Sonic game, Sonic Lost World, which I bought myself. I haven't actually played outside of the review, so yeah, I'm definitely not looking for free games. That's not my approach, but yeah, it's not easy. So I'm going to be going back and covering some older games most likely. So I have a few games on the list. I know people keep telling me to check out Smite, and I've played it before, and I do quite enjoy it, but I think I might end up doing a video on it. And I'm going to be doing a video mostly focused on kind of how the game is aged, since I did play it all the way back in the closed beta, which was actually quite interesting. So people might be interested to find out about that. Anyways, that's going to be me for this video. It's kind of dragged on a little bit longer. I'm apologizing for my scattered mind. I haven't been doing pretty much anything. Like, I've literally been playing Borderlands 2 because I wanted to finally beat it, and I finally did. Quite frankly, I've had that game forever and I haven't beat it. And then I've been playing Torchlight 2, and that's pretty much all I've done this last week aside from sleeping and a little bit of work over at the Classy Cast. We're working on a whole rebrand, so if you want to go and check out some of that stuff, we just released a new video, or a new video series called Game Club, where we talk about games and kind of do like an opinions and review type style thing, which is, I think it's an interesting concept. Some people might like it, some people won't, but basically it's like a podcast where we talk about a game for 15 to 20 minutes. We did Minecraft as a test run, so if you want to check that out, I'll link it in the end slate. It'll be the top one. Anyways, that'll be me for this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my other videos. Also, if you guys have any questions that you want me to answer in these vlog videos, feel free to send them in the comments or send them to me on Twitter. You can follow me at Michael_Stanich. I am always on Twitter. I don't know why. I don't know. Twitter is such a weird place, but I love it. So yeah, make sure to follow me on there as well, because I do tweet from time to time. It's been slower recently because I've been just not in the mood to be on Twitter, but I should be back into it after today. I'll be going on there and doing my daily tweets again. So yeah. Anyway, see you guys in the next video.